It's weird. It's never this quiet in here.
People usually talking.
I can hear the humming.
Okay, well, we're live. Today is another day of the Winter Nutz podcast. On location, Remer's Rendering. Did I say that right?
You got her.
In their shop, fab shop, here between Cranbrook and Kimberley, BC. We got Dan Verrott, the owner, operator, manager, welder, painter extraordinaire. Here to have a look at some of the product that he does. He does everything from bumpers, monorail, braces, he does truck bumpers, he does signs, he's even done hand railing in our house. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So welcome to the Winter Nutz podcast, Dan.
Yeah, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about Remer's Rendering.
Remer's Renderings. Well, we moved out here from Saskatchewan in 2017 in the fall. Grain farmed there for, I can't even remember how long, 15 years. Grew up on the farm and kind of moved away, did some things in college, went to engineering school, went and worked rigs, moved back to the farm, and started to have a young family.
Yeah.
So we kind of decided we needed a little different lifestyle. The farm lifestyle was amazing and great, but it wasn't allowing me to have the family time that I actually wanted to have. I was gone spring till fall, kind of tied to the farm. Yeah. So it was starting to wear on me a little bit, and I was like, you know what? One Easter weekend we're driving from Radville to Regina, and we're like, let's move to BC. Don't even know where we want to move, and my wife Crystal thought I was seriously joking. I was like, no, start looking for properties. Like, after seeding's done, we'll list the farm, we'll sell it. She's like, no way, there's no way. So, literally, as soon as the day seeding was done, went and talked to my dad, and we're like, okay, this is it. This is my last year. I need to do something different. Like for myself, I have to go do something different. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And literally, just as soon as seeding was done, listed it, sold the farm within a week. Which was super surprising.
Holy cow.
Yeah, everything happened really quick.
Like how big of a farm?
How big of a farm? We farm 4,500 acres.
Big farm.
Yeah, I wouldn't say big. That would be, well, now that would be.
But enough, it's a big chunk of property.
Oh yeah.
Like to sell something like that is
busy.
That's a big chunk of property.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And just grain farming, no cattle or anything like that. So yeah, everything happened really quick when we were literally just kind of picked a spot on a map, and it was originally we kind of picked Remer. Once we figured out more about the area, nothing against that, we just didn't really want the tourism that comes into that area. We wanted to be a little bit less of a population.
Yeah.
And then the international airport was actually kind of the kicker for us. And then we started looking into schooling and everything else. It was like, okay, well, Cranbrook, Kimberley area. So came out here, started looking at properties, and this was the one that ended up sticking.
It's a nice place.
Yeah, we definitely lucked out. It's kind of ironic the way everything kind of fell into place. But
yeah.
So yeah, moved out here, didn't really do much for the whole first year we moved out. Kind of got into sandblasting, wasn't busy enough with that. Got a CNC plasma table, and then that's kind of where Remer's Renderings evolved from, essentially. Kind of You're asking where it started from. So I had picked out the name before, just because it was a generic thing. I told myself I was gonna build stuff, and it was just a generic name.
Did you come up with it? Like it just popped into your head, or did your wife come up with it?
Remer's comes from the movie Basketball with Doug and Remer.
Oh yeah.
And that's why it's spelled like that. Everybody says Remer's Renderings. Yeah. And it's close enough. Yeah. But it's Remer's Renderings. If you look through the casting at the end of the movie, they spell Remer with R-E-M-E-R. So I just left it like that, and everything's just symmetrical. So it's like I'll just split the R's and make it symmetrical with the logo.
It does look good that way.
So that's where the name came from. And with the rest of work from the CNC started, it was basically artwork. I have a super strong art background. I've won some art competitions growing up. I was always
Where did you learn to do all this welding, plasma cutting, just off the farm?
Yeah,
Like
building
fixing?
stuff definitely came from the farm. My mom was super artistic, and my dad was a builder. And there wasn't really anything I couldn't see my dad build or fix. So
Yeah.
growing up on the farm, you always kind of had to be resourceful. We grew up close to town, so we always had some amenities. But as far as doing everything, we did everything we possibly could on our own without outsourcing anything.
Yeah.
So
That's like typical for farmers.
oh yeah,
Hey? Like, you gotta know how to fix it because you don't have the money to hire anyone to come fix it for you.
yep.
And it just gets, it's like a hand-me-down.
Well, it's too expensive too. I don't know. Call a farmer cheap. That's kind of true because it's not a cheap hobby to get into by any means. But you do as much as you can yourself, and you get pretty comfortable fixing stuff.
Yeah.
Like my very first truck, I fixed and put a motor in it when I was 15. So, with the help of my dad, obviously. But that's kind of helped me build the rest of my trucks. It's just you do one, you just start learning and building.
And I'm
one.
grateful for my father. He did the same thing with me. We had this old Jeep Cherokee, and it was white, and we had to redo the motor in it. So it's like, if this is going to be your Jeep, you've got to help me rebuild the engine. So the same thing for dads. Kind of that's one of the things they're going to teach their kids is, this is a piston, and this is how it goes into place, and this is your connecting rod, and this is how it's get bolt back onto the crankshaft.
Yeah.
Your bearings are going to go in with grease and oil. Go ahead and tighten it up, son. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. And then I'm going to go under and make sure, but yes. And that's pretty cool that that all those things you get kind of taught at that young age.
Oh, for sure.
So did he teach you how to weld and all that because you had that on site as well?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't call me a welder. I can weld, but that's what I have Lee for.
Yeah. We'll get into.
He's 100 times better than I will ever be. So, I can kind of do everything. I think I'm more capable with like the design work and kind of the engineering sort of background, I guess. My mind works in a way that I always think about structure and how stuff goes together and comes apart, especially coming apart. Like everything that I build has to go together as easily as possible without little modification and then come off easily if it ever needs to be repaired or something fixed behind it, right? So lots of stuff that I've bought in before, I've found problems with that. So that's always stuff that I'm always trying to think ahead of, I guess, when I'm designing things.
So was this shop already here when you purchased the property? So this was ideal for you to start a business.
That was
you had all this.
Our must, yeah. The wife wanted a view, and I wanted a place to build a shop or a workshop that I could work.
And it came with the shop.
Yeah.
So perfect for you to start a business.
For sure.
And that's when the business kicked off. You moved into here, and you were doing a little bit of sandblasting, you said?
Yeah, sandblasting, and then art, lots of steel art sign work, like custom drawing, acreage signs, business signs.
I've seen a couple of the ones you've had in here, and they were huge.
Yeah.
That one for Fernie.
The big Island Lake Lodge sign, that was the biggest one we've done to date, for sure.
Yeah, so if anyone's driving through Fernie, and you drive by Island Lake Lodge, there's a giant sign at the bottom, right by the highway, and that's built by these guys.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Props to that one. Do you have to get a crane in on site to assemble it and put it all on?
No, that was fun. We had one zoom boom, and a couple really tall ladders to get up there, which was...
So you did your own installation too?
Yeah, we didn't do any of the woodwork. We did the steel sign, but we had the big steel straps that we had to like clamp around up top. And yeah, it was a full day. We put it up in the rain in the spring. And
nice.
Yeah. Actually, I had hired Lee just like a month before that.
Yeah, I was going to ask when you had him
a couple months before.
So this is 2 years ago?
3 years ago,
3 years ago now.
Yeah, I think 3 years ago. Kind of.
So you had Lee, he was your first guy.
Yep.
And he's been here now through it all from that 3 years ago point.
With Lee, like that's kind of when everything started, for sure, with the sled bumper stuff. I had kind of dabbled into it years before with my sled, just trying to be crafty and build some of my own stuff, and didn't have the talent to build the front bumpers. And I was doing stuff for the Ascender and Proclimb cats, and then the Axis chassis sleds, because the Matrix wasn't released yet. So I was building rear bumpers for those, and then just got into powder coating that fall because I was getting tired of outsourcing that. And then Lee came around. It's like we had so many people asking me, can we build front bumpers to match the back bumpers, because everybody was liking the back bumpers that I was making. And well, that's when I got a pipe bender and started getting serious about it. and put some serious man hours into designing some front bumpers, which is a ton of labor
Yeah.
to put one together. The first Matrix one took us almost a week to build, and now we can hammer them out quite a bit quicker.
Yeah.
But
So you've invested your time in designing,
for sure.
and then that's all paying off now because you've been selling that bumper for a few years.
Yes.
Since that chassis came out.
Definitely. Yeah, we've kind of been working our way backwards if we do get slow enough to. So we've went back to maybe like 2010 sleds. They're not all on our website, but we do offer stuff back to the Pro chassis and the XM chassis for dues. So
What about the Axis chassis if someone needed?
oh yeah, for sure.
Offer that too?
Yep.
Now, is that something you have like in a blueprint in the back and you pull out the folder and you know what measurements, lengths to cut everything at?
We got some pretty good notes going on for the front bumpers.
Yeah.
All the stuff for the CNC cut, like the plates, anything flat, we CNC cut on the plasma table.
Yeah.
So that's all saved on files. But yeah, the pipe bending and stuff, definitely, yeah, it's like a 2-page note, almost like your notebook size, with degree bends and where to start and stop your bend and cuts and everything like that. So it's...
And you got a whole team of guys in here right now because it's like the busy season. I can see it when I come in to check on you, and it is like there is a lot going on in this little shop.
We could use another guy or two.
Really?
Too, but,
how many guys you got going right now?
We got 3 guys, two full-time and 1 part-time guy, and then well, myself, I'm down here working overtime every day right now just to try to keep caught up. But
holy moly,
yeah,
that's pretty sweet. You got
that's just what you see down here. We got quite a few other bodies working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The wife and website people and social media marketer person, and it's a big team now.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Are you running the powder coat booth when you come down and help? Are you cutting, or you're on the lathe, or?
It's me or Tyler powder coating generally. It kind of depends what's going on. I'm usually juggling the guys around. If I can keep Lee welding all day, that's kind of the goal behind everything. And then prepping, cutting, sandblasting, depends what's going on. Everything's kind of structured. Sometimes a day in advance, sometimes kind of on the spot if orders come in, and everything kind of just gets juggled around until we kind of get everything in order. But
I wanted to show everybody all the options that these guys got for powder coat colors. And I've come down and be like, hey, like I want this color. Well, can you do this? Oh yeah, well, let's have a look. And he's got all these different, show them these, what do you call that little tab?
Well, we got swatches.
But all the different colors that he's got a whole drawer full of these things.
Yeah, well, there's thousands upon thousands of colors. Prismatic powders we're in a, what do you want to call it? An authorized applicator for them, I guess is the right word. So I spray only prismatic powders. A lot of the times we can't get a super perfect match. I can order in 100 swatches, and sometimes you just can't get the right color swatch. So usually go with a compromise or start going to a little bit more of like a poppy or a blingy color, which seems to be more what people want anyways for bumpers. So yeah, it's kind of a compromise sometimes. Most of the Polaris ones, they have the most colors. Actually, we can match the Polaris one machines probably the most accurately out of all the brands. Arctic Cat, really hard to match to, and a couple of the Dew colors, super hard to match to, just because they have a little bit of metallic flake in them, or they're like a kind of an off color. That's just not normal, I guess. Like it's just a custom made color for their machines, right? So.
No, I never thought of that. You've done well with the Polaris. I've bought a lot of bumpers off you for my Polarises over the years, and you've done a great job matching it up. And then, this Arctic Cat now that we brought in and looking at the color matching for that, and even the handlebar riser that you're going to powder coat for Julie now is the blue. It's like, well, do you want a little bit of flake in your blue, or do you want this one that doesn't? And it's like, well, yeah, you're right. It pops a little bit more, some flakes. So
get it out in the sun. It looks nice, right?
Make it reflect a little bit.
Kind of looks more like an automotive type paint, not just a solid tone. Most of the machines kind of have that solid tone colors. So
you got a new chassis that has come out. I mean, it started last year. I mean, obviously you've been building a few things for the Cats already. But I just wanted to kind of go over what it is you're offering for people for these Arctic Cats. There's been a monorail brace that you've been designing for a few years now for the last chassis. And then if there's anyone that wants another one, you have one here. Actually, let's bring it up.
Okay.
So this is the centerpiece that would rivet on to the monorail. And these rivet on, correct? They don't bolt on.
These are all riveted, yeah. This
Okay.
is the one thing we supply stainless rivets for. Everything else, generally we send out just aluminum rivets, like our back bumpers and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of these get stainless rivets, front and back.
So this is for the new rail, and this
No,
is
that's
for...
the old rail.
This is the old rail?
Yep.
Okay, and that's for the new rail too?
That is the brand new rail, yeah.
Okay.
And that's kind of a split year. We had a dealership out in Alaska, actually, that reached out to us. We shipped out 10 of those to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, these do not fit. And I was scratching my head. I thought they weren't installing them right. It's like, these guys ordered some last year. They should just tap right on there. And he started sending me some pictures like, oh, what? Articat made a new rail.
Yeah.
And so we were full in design mode, and actually was kind of panicking for a little bit because we had already shipped out a few of that style and people for the new catalyst. So I was worried that we had sent out the wrong rail brace. And yeah, lo and behold, kind of a mixed bag this year. Some have the 2025s have the old front rail section.
Yep.
Some have the new. Most of them are having the new, but there is the odd one in circulation still on the new 2025s that have the old style front rail.
So we checked my sled, it has the new rail. We checked Julie's sled, it has the old rail.
Yeah.
Yes, Julie's sled is last year's 600, so obviously that was still gonna be the older rail.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a difference for anyone that is looking to purchase some rail braces. Have a look at your rail. Chances are it is probably the new one. If you have the old one, sorry, if it is the new one, but if it has the old rail, here it is as well.
Yep.
So keep that in mind before you powder coat it, because you'd hate to get one powder coated and then, well, now it's the wrong one.
Yeah, there's some good notes on our website there too. It has a good picture.
Yeah.
As a thing, so you can physically check on your machine if you're a little bit unsure.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious when you're looking, but if you don't know, we have a good picture on there.
We'll share that picture.
Yep, you bet.
Okay. Then you got some more guards.
Yeah, these are brand new. Nobody even knows about these yet.
Those are pretty nice.
So yeah, hopefully these do well for us. We built some for the Matrix for the Q2 drive. So we wanted to do something for the Catalyst since it's a brand new chassis. And we have the rotor guard, which hangs down slightly lower than the belt drive side. Both the covers on these machines are mirror image, the plastic ones that are on the machine. Built the drive side one first and tucked it up as high as we could. Went to go mirror it, and we realized that the rotor actually is substantially larger. So they're both different, right and left sides, obviously. Brand new release. These are not even on our website. Nobody even knows about it. You guys are the first ones to hear about it. So these will be
cool.
on our website ASAP, probably early next week.
Awesome. A lot of things are starting to come out for these Catalyst chassis, these 858s. Even cans, mufflers, you know, all of these designers have to get their hands on a sled.
Yep.
So you've got your hands on a sled and now you're designing stuff for it.
Yep, got a Trail Tech gauge mount built for it today too. Trail Tech obviously has been...
Is it mounting up around the glove box?
I wish it could have. There's no room. There's no real estate on the actual hood of these machines. So this one, I'm actually okay with the design. Actually, after we bolted it on there today, it mounts to the bottom of the triple clamp, down super low. So it is going to turn with your bars. You're going to have to make sure to zip tie your Trail Tech gauge brackets onto all your cables coming down there. But it's a nice articulated flat mount and keeps the gauge down respectably low, and it's really visible.
I'm gonna have to have a look at that because I got a Trail Tech.
Yep.
I took it off my Polaris before I sold my Polaris, so I'm gonna need something to mount it up. And I'd like to see what you've done.
It is a little nicer if they're mounted rigid to the hood, but you know, there's nowhere else to mount.
No, I was looking at that.
Yeah.
The glove box, and then there's your screen.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot in between.
No, there's absolutely no room. And then if you got the big Garmin gauge, well, yeah, you're just out of room, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't. So that was another thing I want to touch on is this sled that you have in here today has this coil suspension. So that one does not have the big gauge. That's the small gauge on this sled.
Yep.
So you got your bumper on this one that you have for your client.
Yep.
You're building bumpers for these sleds. He's got a front and a back. So you're building back bumpers as well. A little bit of custom work to the snow flap tail light assembly to install that.
Slightly, yes. That tail light assembly on the back kind of does that weird little wraparound thing on the factory bumper. Yeah, just take a little zip disc there and got to zip that off, unfortunately. But I haven't even looked at any of the other bumper companies. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the same scenario for everybody else out there.
That's the first rear bumper I've even seen on a Catalyst besides the stock one.
Yeah, it could be.
So, yeah, I think you're getting into it just the perfect time. You're almost ahead of the 8 ball on that one.
Yeah, I honestly don't even snoop around anymore. We kind of just build stuff however we see fit. Like when I was first building my own stuff, it's like, oh man, how are these other companies kind of doing this and tying things in? And now it's like, I got better things to do. We'll just figure out our own way and our own methods, what makes sense to me, and I know it's strong enough. So it's just everything is streamlined and aesthetically as pleasing as possible and making it as easy as possible for install. So all of our new current stuff is, lots of people are complaining about not enough holes for rivets, so we're trying to incorporate almost no drilling on the bumper anymore. Basically, a couple of lining rivets, pop out a couple of rivets on the tunnel, put them on there, zip the back pieces off, aligning rivets in there to line it up, center it up, drill a hole in the back, and then start plugging rivets. So super easy to install.
Your bumper then, just let me make sure I have this right. You've pre-drilled all your rivet holes on the new bumper.
On the Catalyst ones, yeah.
Okay.
It's the first one we've done with all holes.
That's a little bit more work for you guys too.
Yeah, way more work. And some of the ones are very hard to get right if you're trying to use existing holes, which is why we weren't doing it in the past.
Yeah.
In case they're out a fraction of an inch. And then you got to drill through, and then you got to start using washers on the back sides of the rivets, which ends up being more of a pain in the butt. So I was leaving mine blank just for that reason. So you get a good pop, like a good rivet crush every single time. And you're not trying to hold rivets on the back or washers on the backside, which I find more of a pain in the butt. So kind of a mixed bag. Some guys say put more holes in. That's what we're trying to do. Always trying to cater to what our customers want and try to make it easier, right?
Recently put one of your bumpers on my Viper. I had to change the tunnel and put one of your bumpers on, and I kind of liked that I got to pick where I wanted, what holes and this and that, and I actually did mine where I needed a couple more rivets, which you got me. And I kind of like that, but I kind of like this as well.
There's a privilege to the older ones not being drilled, I think, because lots of guys have bent up tunnels and holes all over the place. But you can reuse holes.
And the stock tunnel was riveted on it already. So it does kind of make sense, like you said, to match it, and it's all the same now.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So aesthetically pleasing was the word you brought up a couple minutes ago. Let's have a look at this pink bumper. What do you got here?
Okay.
Flashy.
Oh yeah. That's about as flashy as it gets.
It is very. So that's for a Skidoo.
Yep, that's a Gen 5. Gen 4s are the same, they just don't have the tabs welded on the back end here, but exactly the same geometry. Yeah.
I like that you're even putting the little rubber caps in on the ends here.
Yeah. Pros and cons to that. It is nice though. We finally got some better caps. The ones before, lots of guys were complaining about them popping out. Hit a tree hit or something, and
well, when you hit a tree, cap pops out. Come on.
There is bigger fish to fry, but it is kind of annoying, right? We thought about welding some ends on there, but it's like, this is just, I don't know. We'll just keep going with our caps and got. I
like the plastic caps.
Yeah. I
had actually hit a tree with my Matrix, and the bumper bent a little bit. You know, it didn't hit it full speed. It was like that oomph. And I had a look, and the bumper was tweaked a little. And I was like, talk to you. What can I do? You're like, yeah, man, that aluminum's meant to be bent a couple times if you need it. Just if you need to straighten it, go ahead and straighten it. Really? Yeah. So I literally put the soft jaws in my vise, grabbed a hold of that bumper, and put, with the caps off, put a piece of tube in there as a pry bar, and bent my bumper back into place.
For sure.
And you couldn't even tell that it was out. And besides a little bit of flaking around the weld of the powder coating, no one even noticed that bumper had been hit.
It's actually pretty surprising no other bumper companies are using the 6063 pipe. Everybody's using structural grade 6061 aluminum tubing for their front bumpers, and that's all great, but technically it's not meant to bend. We've tried some 6061 and half the time it cracks in the bender, like when you're forming it. And then again, exactly like you said, repairs. That's another reason why we went with it. You can, if you hit a tree hard enough and it's not totally wrecked, you can straighten them. It's meant to kind of do that, right? It's supposed to absorb more impact, and it's just more forgiving. You can get more life out of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that it was like that.
Yeah.
It's a nice feature. One more feature I wanted to touch on here in the podcast is this little bracket that you've built, and it's sitting down here in the bottom. So this little bracket is to be added to the front of the catalyst bumper.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cross brace that goes in between. From what I understand, it stops the arms from squishing in on each side, 'cause it's just plastic under there. Anyone that buys a catalyst, you pop your hood, if you go to put a bumper on it, you're gonna see that, the plastic is strong and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you just want a little bit tougher inside, you've got this.
Yeah, we're calling it a shear plate. Last year we had a 600 catalyst in here, and we only had the machine for a couple days to build a front and a back bumper for a 146. And I don't know, we're scratching our heads like, I don't know how we're gonna do this properly, because I didn't feel good about the framework on the front, the way it comes to a point. I don't know, just the approach angles, everything's so short and straight. And it freaked me out too much to tie it in. Like all of our other bumpers have like longer arms, and it has a way to wrinkle the bumper.
Yeah.
And not push all that load into the frame. And yeah, that plastic piece up front it's fine. It's just, you're not tying into anything structural.
No.
So there's definitely a high worry of that breaking without something in there. How well it's going to stand up, I don't know yet. That's kind of why we just came up with this last week.
Yep.
Just as a shear plate, and it's meant basically just to shear that center rivet. So it's going to tie and keep those kind of triangulated short little arm mounts from like flaring out if it wants to wedge itself in there under a hit.
Yep.
So it'll keep it strong together and hopefully not break that plastic and then that stainless rivet that's in there. Like stainless rivet's pretty darn strong. So. Yeah.
And
I don't know. That's
something I noticed that I don't know that you know this. The 600 doesn't have that hole drilled in the front frame.
Oh.
So there's a hole drilled there that you rivet this into, and you're talking about the stainless rivet.
Yep.
The 600 didn't have that hole.
Oh, interesting.
So if someone buys one, not a big deal. You drill the hole. The 858s have this hole pre-drilled. No extra work besides, is it a longer bolt that you're using to bolt that into the bumper?
Same bolts that were in the hardware package before.
There you go. And so then you get a rivet, you rivet into the hole, it's already pre-existing.
Yeah, piece of
and
cake,
it'll
really.
just strengthen that up, give it a little more rigidity.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't know, I keep looking at the sled. Makes me want to try one out.
We're going out tomorrow. Hey? It sounds like this place is running on its own. You've got one here. Tell me you need to go test the bumpers out.
Oh man, most days it does run on its own. Right now, it needs my extra two hands, unfortunately.
No,
but
you guys are busy.
yeah, maybe this weekend I'll be getting out soon.
It sounds like it. We're talking to your guys before they took off, and it sounds like they all have plans to go out for a ride this weekend.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting a little bit of snow here, and everyone's getting to that itch now. The season looks like it's actually upon us. As of tomorrow, I will have a snow update. This video will go live tomorrow or tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning after I post this, sleds are loaded, I'm heading out. I got to try out my new sled. So we're going to head up a place here local, up to St. Mary's Valley. So yeah, I'll let you all know how that's looking. And thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
It's a new thing. The podcast is, two guys interacting, talking about this and that. But it's something different, and I thought it was pretty cool to bring in product and, another attractant for people to want to watch my podcast. And that's kind of to learn, what there is out there for product, for bumpers. So it's kind of cool to review something like this, a little bit different than any other podcast that I've seen online.
Yeah, it's fun. This is definitely the enjoyable part of work, for sure.
Yeah.
It's getting to work on sleds and design new stuff.
Cool.
And customer relations. I don't know. We're super big on, building relationships with every one of our customers.
Well, you have. You've built a name for yourself around here. Now you're even part of our dirt bike crew.
Yeah.
Hey, I was first a customer, and you're like this guy. I got to drop the stuff off, get painted, and
flatline.
now if we go dirt,
you guys
exactly trying to keep up. Now we're going dirt bike and text Dan and get the crew together. We're going out. So yeah, you're right. It has created quite a few friendships for yourself.
Oh yeah, it's been good community.
Yep. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks for having me in your shop. Beautiful place.
Oh yeah, anytime.